Hey guys, and sometime last year I posted a video on every K-pop group that I stan, and well, I'm doing a little updated PowerPoint to that. I've also included my bias, my favorite songs, and their fandom names. I also included if that group is disbanded or not. So anyways, let's get right into it. Okay, so first up we have aespa, their fandom name is my bias is OT4, and my favorite song with them is Yeppy Yeppy. Next up is Alexa. My favorite songs by her are Bomb in Wonderland, and her fan name is AI Trooper. Next up is Billy, or Believe, that's the fandom name. My bias is Moon Sewer, and my favorite song by them is Ring My Bell. Next up is Blackpink, the fan name is Blink. My bias is Rosé, and my favorite song with them is Lovesick Girls. Next up is Black Swan. My bias is Fatou. The fandom name is Lumina, and my favorite song with them is Close to Me. Next up is Brave Girls. My bias is Minyoung, and my favorite song with them is Chima Bottom. Next up is BTS, the only boy group on here. Their fan name is Army, I stand OT7, and my favorite song by them is Microcosmos. Next up is Bugaboo. Their fan name is Rainbow, love that name by the way. And my bias is Cyan, and my favorite song with them are both of the title tracks, Bugaboo and Pop. Next up is Cherry Bullet. I'm very excited for the comeback. The fan name is Lullet. My bias is May, and my favorite song by them is Love in Space. Next up is Chungha, Byulharang, and my favorite songs by her are Chica and Sparkling. Next up is Signature. The fan name is Sign Fan. My bias is Belle, and my favorite song by them is Aurora. Classy. The fan name is Clikey. My bias is Chaewon, and my favorite song with them is Shut Down. Next up is CLC, forgot to put that they're disbanded. My bias is Singyeon. My favorite songs by them are Helicopter and No, and the fan name is Cheshire. Next up is Cosmic Girls, or WJSN. The fan name is Ujung. My bias is Sora, and my favorite song is Last Sequence. I also included my favorite songs from the subunit, WJSN Chocoman. Next up is Dreamcatcher, Insomnia. My alt bias is Sua, and my favorite song is every song I hear from them, because my alt I really can't choose one, or two, or three. Next up is Everglow. The fan name is Forever. My bias is Mia, and my favorite songs for them are Pirate and Don't Speak. Same thing with EXID. My favorite songs for them are every song I hear, because I can't pick one. My bias is Solji, and the fan name is Lego. Next up is Performance 9. My bias is Hayoung, and my favorite songs for them are We Go and DM. Next up is FX. The fan name is Miu. My bias is Luna, and my favorite songs for them are All Mine and New ABO. Next up is G-Friend, or Buddy. That's the fandom name. My bias is Cindy, and my favorite song with them is Labyrinth. Next up is Idol. The fan name is Neverland. My bias is OT6, and I actually have quite a few favorite songs for them. We have Help Me, Maze, Never Stop Me, and Lion. Next up is Girls' Generation, SNSD, and their fan name is So-On. My biases are Taeyeon and Hyoyeon, and my favorite song with them is Forever One. Next up is Got The Beat. My bias is Sugi, and my favorite song with them is Step Back. Next up is GWSN Guru. My bias is Seoyoung, and my favorite song with them is Red Sun. Next up is Hyo. My favorite song by her is Dessert with Sayan and Luffy. Next up is Hyuna. Her fan name is Aang. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. And my favorite song by her is I'm Not Cool. Next up is ITZY. The fan name is Mitzi. My bias is Leah, and my favorite song with them is... Forgot to change that. My favorite song is Cheshire. That was in the old video for this.
Voltage.
Oh, and I spelled it wrong, even better. Anyways, next up is IU. Her fan name is Yuena. That's a pretty fandom name. My favorite song by her is Strawberry Moon. Next up is IVE. The fan name is Dive. My bias is Eugen, and my favorite song by them is Afterlike. Next up is IZ*ONE. The fan name is Wiz1. My bias is Nako, and my favorite song by them is Panorama. Next up is Card. The fan name is Hidden Card. My bias is Selman, and my favorite songs are Oh Nana and Red Moon. Next up is Kepler, and the fan name is Keplian. My bias is Eugen, and my favorite song with them is the newest release with I Do You. Next up is Quan Eunbi. Her fan name is Ruby. I still love that fan name, by the way. And my favorite song is Underwater. Next up is Lapillus. The fan name is Lapis. My bias is Shauna, and my favorite song by them is Gratata. Next up is Le Seraphim. The fan name is Fearless. My bias is Yunjin, and my favorite songs by them are No Celestial. Next up is Lightsum. The fan name is Summit. My bias is Chowan, and my favorite song by them is You Jam. Next up is Luna. The fan name is Orbit. My bias is Eve, and my favorite songs by them are Hide and Seek and Star. Next up is Mamamoo. The fan name is Mumu. My bias is OT4, and my favorite song by them is Deco Comedy. Next up is Momoland. The fan name was Merry Go Round. My bias is Headbeat, and my favorite songs by them are Thumbs Up and Yummy Yummy Love. Next up is Nature. The fan name is Leaf. My bias is Chebin, and my favorite song with them is Limbo. Next up is New Jeans. I really wanted to put this in here. Their fan name is Bunnies. Really cute fan name. My bias is Headin, and my favorite song with them is Hype Boy. Next up is Niziu. Their fan name is With You. My bias is Rio, and my favorite song with them is Asobo. Next up is Nmix. Their fan name is Enser. My bias is Haewon, and my favorite songs for them are Dice and their cover of Kiss. Next up is Oh My Girl. Their fan name is Miracle. My bias is Seunghee, and my favorite song with them is Dun Dun Dance. Next up is Pink Fantasy. Their fan name is Love It. My bias is Hadin, and my favorite song with them is Poison. Next up is Kristen. Their fan name is Hi. My bias is Kyeokyoung, and my favorite song with them is Black Widow. Next up is Purple Kiss. Their fan name is Pluri. My bias is OT7, and my favorite songs for them are Zombie and Sweet Juice. Next up is Red Velvet. Their fan name is Revelove. My bias is Sugi, and my favorite song with them is Queendom. Next up is Saturday. The fan name is Sunday. My biases are Chohee and Ion, and my favorite song by them is Byung. Next up is Secret Number. Their fan name is Lucky. My bias is Minji, and my favorite songs for them are Got the Beat and Fire Saturday. Next up is Somi. Her fan name is Samunchi. I'm really sorry if I'm butchering that. Anyways, my favorite song by her is What You Waiting For. Next up is Stacy. Their fan name is Swift. My bias is Isa, and my favorite song is Teddy Bear. Next up is Sunmi. Her fan name is Miyane, and my favorite song is Tail. Next up is Taeyeon. My favorite songs by her are I Envy You and I. Next up is TR. They have two different fandom names. We have Queens for Korea and Sweet Treasure for Japan. My bias is Hyomin. My favorite songs by them are Number 9 and Sugar Free. Next up is Twice. Their fan name is Once. My biases are Jungyoung and Sana, and my favorite song by them is Wake Me Up. Next up is Vivi's. Their fan name is Navi. My bias is Shinbi, and my favorite song with them is Bop Bop. Next up is Weekly. The fan name is Daily. My bias is Monday, and my favorite songs with them are Zigzag and Solar. Next up is Wiki Miki. Their fan name is Keeling. My bias is Rina, and my favorite song with them is Cool. And lastly, Yana. Her fan name is Yukimi, and my favorite song by her is Smiley. So that was the updated version of every K-pop group that I stan. And thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!